In 2000, the Bourganel Brewery in the French town of Vals-les-Bains went back to brewing real ale in the traditional way. This family-owned company has close links with the local community in the Ardèche region. Beer was first brewed in ancient times in Mesopotamia and then in Egypt. For the Greeks and Romans, it was the poor man's drink, but it was much enjoyed by the Celts, Germanic tribes and other Nordic peoples. Beer is made from 4 basic ingredients. Malt. This is barley, which is allowed to germinate and then roasted. Our brewery uses various kinds. Malt is what gives beer its typical colour. Water. Beer is 90% water. We use the local water from Vals-les-Bains, which is famous for being pure and well balanced. We add a pinch or 2 of hops to give the beer its flavour and its slightly bitter taste. Lastly comes the yeast, which plays a vital role in fermentation. Production at the Bourganel Brewery is highly automated. The recipes for our different beers are all stored in this control box. The master brewer initiates and controls the production from this touch screen. He records all the parameters to ensure traceability. The installations are composed of various units. In the foreground is the malt mill. The malt is poured in, crushed and ground. The ground malt is transferred to the mash tun, where the brewing process starts. The malt is mixed with water. This phase is known as saccharification. The malt is then heated by stages until it reaches 72 degrees Celsius. This is the mashing phase, which breaks down the soluble elements in the malt. The macerated malt and water mixture is called mash. The mash then leaves the mash tun for the mash filter or lautering tun. The filter separates out the soluble elements called the wort from the insoluble, the spent grains. The clarification process of the wort can be seen through this glass observation panel. After filtration, the wort is pumped back into the mash tun. What is left in the lautering tun is the spent grains. These are removed and will serve as feed for horses. Back in the mash tun, the wort is heated to boiling point, around 100 degrees Celsius. During the heating process, we add a very small quantity of hops, just 1 or 2 grams for each litre of beer. The hot particles left in suspension in the wort are removed in a whirlpool, and the wort is then cooled in a plate heat exchanger. The brewing process is now complete. The wort ferments in a fermentation vessel as it reacts with the yeast. For between 5 and 7 days, the sugar will be turned into alcohol and carbon dioxide. There follows a storage period of at least 15 days at 0 degrees. During this time, the beer acquires its characteristic taste. At the end of this storage period, the beer passes through various filters to make it as clear as possible. Then it is pumped into barrels for short life consumption as a draft beer or into bottles for longer term conservation. Passing the bottles through a pasteurization tunnel guarantees that they will keep for 18 months. Labelling and packing are always accompanied by a printed lot number and use by date. Transport is done by Sofabo, a freight company run by Christian Bourganel. The Bourganel Brewery gives its beers an individual flavour by using local ingredients from Ardèche and the surrounding region. Its A Taste of Ardèche product line is growing every year. It has won numerous awards. A member of the Brewers of France Association, Bourganel Brewery today makes over 3,000 hectolitres of beer, enough to fill nearly 1.5 million glasses. Jacqueline and Christian Bourganel and all the team from the Bourganel Brewery wish you a most enjoyable beer tasting.